Thanks. Oh, it's always the lights that do me in. Hi, everybody. I'm Eddie Opara, and yes, I'm a graphic designer. The thing about graphic design for me is that, I design logos and books and brochures and different websites. But I like to sort of stretch a little bit further into the areas of data visualization to a certain degree, or things that are slightly a little bit more spectacular. So I deal with the ideas of digital items going to physical items and physical items going to digital items. And I enjoy that, and I enjoy that type of mix. And as John has sort of stated, actually many, many times, I've known him for quite some time, that we are really a hybrid, a real mix of different people today. But I really am a graphic designer that deals with a mixture of things, and that's what I want to show you. I have this sense of the willingness and ability to surprise using content and data through the art of spectacle. That's what I want to try and do, if my clients allow me to. That's the important factor that everybody has to remember. I really want that. And so the work is dealing with a sense of risk and the sense of opening up to the ideas of the public and what the public actually think and what they can actually do with these particular things. So the first project is actually kind of interesting. It's called Maker Shaker, and I was doing a project up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not so long ago. And Carlo Ratti, I met him at Design Indaba a few years back, asked me to come over to his labs at the Sensible Cities Labs. And he sat me down and he said, I know you only have 10 minutes, but I want to tell you about this particular project. And so the factor is Carlo's a very fast talker if you know him, and he's very, very sort of seductive. And he said, it's going to be beautiful. You're going to create, and it's like he's already started his pitch, you're going to create these beautiful visualizations of data that are going to connect to this wonderful piece that we're doing, and it has to be done in the Milan Design Week. And I was like, ooh, sounds interesting. In 30 days. I'm like, oh my God. So what is it? And I said, he said, it's robots making cocktails. And I was like, I said to myself, oh my God, okay, let's hear more. And it's really about the sort of dynamics of social interaction and consumption of alcohol. Isn't that wonderful? That's a beautiful thing. And so MIT is this, gave me this proposition to deal with the sense of design, to deal with the sense of making, to deal with the sense of enjoying the content at the end of the day, and also analyzing it at the same time, all in real time. And it was sponsored by Coca-Cola, Bacardi. You can't get better than this. And and so I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And so he sent me all the schematics. I was trying to get through this stuff, very complex. They'd been working on this project for a very, very long time. And I sort of came up with a particular solution that he seemed to like, and you could probably see in the background, these are sort of different options that I was trying out with him within the 30 days that we had to design it and also code it and integrate it into these KUKA robots, which I'll show you later. And it basically worked as an app. And it was basically a web app that you logged in via Facebook, that you would actually put in your particular, I would say, drug of choice. And then it would be sent into a queue. And so these are the interfaces that we sort of developed for this particular process. And we also had to design it in a great scale. So that sense of the spectacular, it was longer than this particular stage here. And so these are particular designs that my team and I actually sort of developed at Pentagram. And Pentagram, we're known for just, logo designs. But we do other things. We're very secretive about what we do, and we're very interested and intrigued about other things. And this is one of the areas that we really want to move into. And so these are the designs that we sort of developed. these are the sort of animatics that we sort of created before we actually coded the pieces. And so you could actually see how at one point people are actually queuing their information up, and then the current wait time for the robot to actually make the cocktail is a certain stage. And then here is actually my former intern, Torbjorn, and he's up, and the robot's actually making his particular information, his drink. And when the drink's done, he's actually moved over to the side, and then the next person comes along. And so this is a system being shown here. It's all built in JavaScript, which is probably the fastest thing you can actually build in without too many sort of bug issues occurring. These are the KUKA robots that we had to deal with, that Carlo was utilizing. And this is the stage at the Milan Design Week. There's 3 robots. They do particular things. They're sort of one's queuing the items up and pouring in the ingredients. The other one's sort of muddling the end result and then pushing it into these sort of travelators at the end. It's amazingly sort of spectacular sort of treatment here. And so this is in Milan. This is in one of the sort of arcades. And it was a interesting success. Imagine that you're allowing these users who are basically Italian and some sort of global tourists to enjoy this particular cocktail. We also had to deal with it in the next 45 days for Google. So we had to strip out all the Facebook, my apologies, and put in Google. We didn't use Google+, but we took that out. And it was also sort of developed for that process. And people are sort of intrigued by it. Are they intrigued by the robots? Are they intrigued by the actuality of the visualization of the queuing of the content? It's pretty much an overarching structure, that data can actually be utilized in this particular way, in this particular forum. So I'm just going to go through this, and I'm going to run this video for you right now. So I couldn't go to any of these events, and my team did, and they said that the alcohol, the cocktails were blindingly amazing. The next project is slightly different. The sense of content and data is wildly different. And this is a project that I'm still working on in Thailand with Bureau OS, who are sort of offshoot from OMA, Rem Koolhaas's OMA. And it's the tallest residential tower, actually tallest building in all of Thailand and Southeast Asia. And it's called Mahanakhon. And you can see in the sort of area over on your right, there's a building called that's square, and it's called the Cube. And that's what we're sort of focusing on. They asked us to develop a screen the size of the building, that was their intent, that people can actually walk through. And I said, ooh, yes, absolutely. Let's have a go at this. So we looked at particular aspects of different values that we could sort of integrate into the particular project. And one of the things that's really important is if you've ever been to Bangkok, it's full of like different screens and advertising and all this kind of commercial stuff. But it really doesn't really get into sort of the idea of the artistic or even the financial and integrate the commercial all together to create a different type of spectacle. And so we wanted to make sure this particular project did, to make sure that it was creative, iconic, diverse, responsive, adaptive, and definitely smart over the course of time. And so this is the actual grid for the actual cube, the facade itself. And one of the things that it's not one big screen, it's multiple screens. Like every particular cassette is actually different, sized differently, which is really, really quite hard to actually deal with. So what we did is that we sort of broke those out and created a sort of grid, as you do as a graphic designer, create a grid, that actually sort of integrates and works together. And we had to deal with it from the point of view of a sense of typography. What was the message that we were trying to relay, and what styles that we wanted to achieve? And we sort of generated, out of the logo developed by 2x4, a typeface that was based on Accurate, which is the actual typeface called Accurate Monopixel. But because basically if you take a normal typeface, it won't actually work within that grid structure. So you have to be very sort of intelligent in regards to how that actually is going to work. And then we sort of also took away the sort of curvature because of the rectilinear structure of the and Cartesian structure of the actual piece, and sort of gave it a more sort of gridded rectilinear approach to it. And we wanted to make sure that it was very elongated and worked at night, and that's an important factor. And also three-dimensional. So we basically, at nighttime, would actually change the font out to have a different type of spectacle. And one of the things that we really wanted to achieve was to understand this from the idea of the passive to the interactive, to what we call passive interaction. So the idea of trains coming in and the information being timed to the BTS that actually came into the subway right next door. And when people walked out, they could actually see, ta-da, there's something else that's going on. Also the idea that it's timed to the idea of the day, that the sun actually sort of would actually come up at a certain angle of the way the sun actually does. It doesn't rise up like this, it rises up at different angles at the course of the day. And so that's what we sort of created. We created these sort of different apps that would work on this sort of grid structure. I'm going to run through this because I've not got that much time left. And these are the different apps that would actually work in different places that you can actually break up over the course of time. So the daytime processing would actually work like this. So it's actually 7 stories high and a block long. And this is quite a tricky project to sort of deal with. So this is the nighttime. But we sort of also changed the typeface to be more dynamic as well. And so some of the apps are kind of interesting. This is an interesting app that deals with visualization for the Vogue bar that's on the top of the building. And so at night, at 2 o'clock, they would actually start playing music, and it would be visualization. So you would actually walk into the visualization. So in the day, this is what it looks like. That's the tower in the back. And these are the sort of screens that we've just recently dealt with. I'm going to run a video again, seeing I've got about 30 seconds left. This is the nighttime. So they're still building the building, as you can see. So we're also working on some electronic pieces in there as well. So this is the screen. So this is actually one of the tests of the sun that and the moon that we were trying to deal with. This is the nighttime view. So to end, the idea of the sun was actually interesting, where we actually found on Instagram, somebody actually took a photograph of the timing of the sun actually rising in the morning time and our screen. And we were amazed at the process of like, oh wow, people actually understand that that is a particular timer. That building is a timer, and it's also a particular aspect of being a spectacle. But I'll leave it at that, and thank you very much.